Pakistan's Field Marshal built his reputation on one word: control. But right now, control is exactly what Asim Munir seems to be losing. To the south, Baloch insurgents are escalating attacks across Balochistan. To the north, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan continues to challenge the state. Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, of course, remains unsettled. And now even Pakistan's biggest strategic partner, China, appears to be losing patience. Because this is no longer just a security story. This is now about billions of dollars in China's flagship investment project. This is about Pakistan's access to European markets and about a province that produces much of Pakistan's gas, minerals, and strategic depth on the boil. Just days ago, a section of Baloch national leaders went a step further. They declared independence from Pakistan. So is Balochistan becoming Pakistan's biggest strategic crisis? Is China's grand CPEC dream beginning to crumble? And can Pakistan afford to lose the province that powers much of its economy? Let's start with what may be the most alarming development for Pakistan's establishment in months. It's not a bombing, not an insurgent attack, it's a letter accessed by the Financial Times. According to the report, the Chinese-operated Sendak copper gold project has warned Pakistani government that worsening security conditions in Balochistan were threatening the project's survival. Think about that for a moment. This isn't a Western think tank. It's not an opposition politician. This is a Chinese-run project operating inside Pakistan. And the warning is blunt. If security keeps deteriorating, operations could stop. That's a nightmare scenario for Islamabad because the entire CPEC story was built on one promise: that Pakistan would provide security and China would provide investment. If Chinese companies start questioning that bargain, the consequences go far beyond just one mine. And Pakistan's reaction suggests that it understands the seriousness immediately. Reports indicate that additional security deployments were rushed into Balochistan to protect Chinese personnel and supply routes just a few days after that letter landed in the Pakistani Energy Minister's office. Officially, Islamabad says there is no crisis. Unofficially, the panic is becoming harder to hide.
We are not obliged to comment on news stories whose facts remain questionable. Pakistan and China have an active dialogue on all aspects of their relations, including security of Chinese nationals in Pakistan, working on various economic projects, including the project that you mentioned. And as host to these projects, Pakistan guarantees impeccable security to our Chinese guests who are working on these projects, all the technician workers and so on.
Now, here's the important question. Why is Beijing so worried about one province? Because for China, Balochistan isn't just another investment destination. It is the heart of China's Pakistan strategy. At the center of all this sits Gwadar, the port that China hoped would become its gateway to the Arabian Sea, the port that was supposed to reduce dependence on vulnerable shipping routes, the port that many in Pakistan once called the next Dubai. But here's the problem. Dubai attracts investors. Gwadar port increasingly requires military escorts. Chinese engineers have been attacked. Chinese workers have been killed. Chinese convoys have repeatedly come under threat. And every new attack sends the same message to Beijing: your investments are not safe here. China has poured tens of billions of dollars into Pakistan over the last 2 decades. Most of it tied directly or indirectly to the CPEC. The expectation was simple: infrastructure first, economic growth later. Instead, many projects remain incomplete, delayed, or operating far below expectations. For Beijing, that's not merely an economic problem. it's a strategic embarrassment because CPEC wasn't sold as charity. It was sold as proof that China's Belt and Roads model works. And right now, the showcase project is facing very, very uncomfortable questions. Here's where things become even more complicated. China didn't invest in Pakistan expecting to become part of an insurgency, but that is increasingly what is happening. The Baloch Liberation Army and other separatist groups see Chinese projects as symbols of Islamabad's control over the province. Their argument is straightforward. Balochistan's resources are being extracted, profits are leaving, local population is not benefiting. Whether one agrees with that argument or not, it has shaped the insurgency's strategy. And that's why Chinese personnel, mining projects, highways, and CPEC infrastructure have repeatedly become targets. For years, Pakistan promised that military operations would stabilize the situation. Yet attack continues, and every attack increases the cost of staying. At some point, Beijing will ask a very simple business question. Is this investment worth the risk? And that may be the question keeping Pakistan's military leadership awake at night. And if Chinese pressure wasn't enough, another challenge is emerging from a very different direction: Europe. The European Union has reportedly raised concerns about enforced disappearances, arbitrary detentions, and human rights allegations against Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, normally governments can ignore criticism, but Pakistan has a problem. Europe is one of its biggest export markets, and Pakistan currently benefits from the EU's GSP Plus trade scheme. That arrangement gives Pakistani exports preferential access to European markets. In simple English, it helps Pakistan earn desperately needed foreign exchange. Brussels has warned that continued concerns over human rights could affect those trade benefits, and if that happens, Pakistan's already fragile economy could face another major blow. So now, Islamabad faces pressure from two sides. China wants security, Europe wants accountability, and Pakistan is struggling to satisfy either of them. To make matters worse, just 2 days ago, a section of Baloch nationalist leaders led by activist Mir Baloch announced independence from Pakistan. They appealed to India and the United Nations for recognition. They announced a flag, an anthem, a currency, and what they called a provisional administration. Now, the announcement signals how far parts of the separatist movement are willing to go, and it comes at a moment when violence is already intensifying. The Baloch Liberation Army continues targeting infrastructure, highways, mining projects, as well as security forces. Earlier this month, attacks reportedly killed dozens of Pakistani security personnel and civilians. Put everything together, an insurgency that refuses to disappear, a big Chinese partner warning about security, a European trading bloc questioning human rights practices, and a declaration of independence grabbing international attention. And of course, don't forget, an economy that can barely afford another economic shock. This is no longer just a Balochistan problem, it's becoming a test of Pakistan's entire strategic model. If China starts scaling back, if Europe starts applying pressure, and if the insurgency continues, then Balochistan stops being Pakistan's internal security challenge alone. It becomes Pakistan's biggest strategic as well as economic vulnerability. And that's a battle far harder to win than any military operation. This is Times Access, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe because the next big global shift will have India at its center.